Good morning, this is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and today we're going to do some pork loin jerky. Now I'm trying to go through and do a series of pork jerky videos, and today what I did was I got a pork loin that was on sale, and I went ahead and made two different flavors of jerky. So we started with a sweet chili, and then the other one is a spicy sweet Thai flavor. Now these are just kind of flavor profiles and you can adjust whatever you want. We'll run through everything, but the full recipes will be in the articles on the website, which should be up sometime in the next week or so. You'll find the links below in the description. Let's go ahead and head into the kitchen and you can take a look and see what I did yesterday to prepare the jerky. So first thing I did today was I came out and I situated the smoker so that way we can see it a little bit better and I can reach it without bending either down to the ground or up above my head. This is a really good height to use your Big Chief top load smoker. If you use a front load smoker, you can put it at a higher height and access it pretty easily. But when you use the top load, you need to be able to get into the top. So I put it up, and actually it's on top of a front load Little Chief smoker on its side, so that way I can get a nice firm seat for it. I went ahead and plugged it in so I could get it preheated, because with something like pork, I like to go from the refrigerator directly into a hot smoker. Now we did use some pink curing salt in this, which will help make it food safe, but the less chances that we have for any kind of bacterial growth or anything like that, the happier I am. I am a food safety person, and so it's kind of important to me. So next thing I'm going to do now that it's completely preheated is I'm going to pre-smoke a little bit. Take a little pan, and for today's video we're going to be using the Smokehouse Products hickory flavor. I'm just going to fill this with just enough to get a good smoke going while we're laying out the jerky. So it's not full at all, and I want to make sure that I keep it away from the edges. This pan is still cold, by the way. I'm going to put it in there. So while we're prepping this, that pan's going to go ahead and start burning. For my second pan, I'm going to fill it all the way. I'm going to go ahead and prep that pan and set it down on the bottom shelf here. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. It's going to take 10 minutes for that pan to get rolling smoking because it's got to heat up from the beginning. Now I made kind of a mound there, a little mountain in the middle, and there's gaps around the edges, and then I'm just going to push it down just a little bit so that way it goes through the door. If you can get more in there, feel free to. I'm just going to not overload it today. I want it to burn completely, and I'm going to check it a little bit more frequently than I normally would. Here we have the two bags that I prepared and rested in the refrigerator overnight so it would cure up. Now this first one here is the sweet chili, and this is just a basic chili recipe with a little bit of spice added to make it have that Asian kind of feel. And then this one is the Thai spicy sweet, which has sugar and white pepper, which gives it its unique flavoring. Today I'm going to go ahead and lay the jerky out just like I normally would. I'm going to use the grill mat on top of the Big Chief wire rack, and this will make it easy to handle and also easy for cleanup afterwards. One package, which is 2 pounds of meat, should fit perfectly on this rack, and if not, I might have one extra small tray with a few pieces from each bag on the very bottom. I try to work with gloves as much as possible for food safety and easy cleanup. I can take these off and I can touch the camera without getting goo on it and just throw them in the garbage and start over again. These are very cheap and easy to find on websites or Amazon. So as you saw in the pictures below, we have nice little pieces of jerky. I'm just going to lay them out crossways, so they go across the wire rack, and I'll do one row across, and then I'll see if we can fit another row parallel to that. We'll go ahead and skip forward through that. Now I'm going to switch to the second bag. There was a couple pieces that wouldn't go on there, and I'll have to decide what to do with those after I finish with this. We've got it all loaded up, and just like I suspected, we have just a little more than will fit on the 2 trays, but it was close. A tip is if you want to get a good idea of your flavor profile, take a couple of these extra pieces and throw them on the grill. You won't get the same consistency as you would with the jerky, but you'll be able to taste what the finished product is going to be like pretty close. And this is still the starter pan, and it is rolling right along. So notice that I have a foil tray here to catch all the drippings. There shouldn't be a lot though, because pork loin is rather lean. This is one of the Little Chief grill mats that I bought. I didn't have any of the Smokehouse Products brand, and so I decided that I needed to purchase some of those. The last set that I had was from years ago, and that's long been destroyed, shall we say. Now, if it's an option, I prefer not to load in the very top tray or the very bottom. So I try to keep it in the middle. I have my drip tray in there, and I have the actual drip pan that came with the smoker. I try to use the foil pans, and if I'm out of space, I'll put foil on the bottom instead. When I load this in, I'm going to take it, tilt it at a slight angle, and put these 2 feet against the side. Then the other feet will just go straight in and all the way to the bottom, just like that. Make sure it's in there firmly. I'm going to do the same thing with the lid. I'm going to take it against the side, push it in there firmly, and then take my hand and push right in the middle where that seam is, and it'll close up real easy. Now I'm going to let this burn with the starter pan for another couple minutes, and then while it's still running good, I'm going to switch out that starter pan for the other pan that I prepared a minute ago. So it's been a few minutes, and this pan is still burning along really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pan, and I'm going to take the contents of this one, and I'm going to dump it right in there. The reason I'm doing that is so that way there's no interruption in smoke. Now, of course, it will take it a few minutes to get going, and the only reason I have 2 pans is because I have 2 smokers. But you can easily buy a replacement pan. There's links in my other video for Big Chief accessories, or you can just look at your local hardware store where they carry these. Usually, like fishing tackle stores and stuff like that have a few of those parts, like the pan or the grill mats in stock. So the plan is to run this for 8 hours total, but we don't want to smoke it for 8 hours total. The temperature is about 165 in this unit on a medium temperature day. And right now it's a little cool out in the morning, so it's not going to get to that temperature now, but hopefully later in the day it does. If not, we can use a thermal blanket to wrap it with. This is one of their thermal blankets for this Smokehouse products, but you can get any thermal blanket or even a welding blanket and use that to wrap these, as long as you don't cover any of the vents. So I would just wrap it around the middle section, and it will increase the overall holding temperature. For the smoke level, we're going to try to go with no more than 4 pans. we'll be able to kind of look at that and see the coloring. If the coloring is really brown, you'll know that it's taking on a lot of smoke. But the one thing we don't want to do with pork loin is we don't want a bitter smoke. Now we're using hickory today, and hickory can be kind of strong, so that's why we want to make sure we don't overdo it with smoke. If, for say, you had plans for the day and you wanted to just let this roll for a few hours by itself, I recommend that you put a pellet tray on the bottom shelf where the tinfoil was, and let it run with that, and then you won't have to maintain it. That's a really nice option. But unlike the cheese, you need to have this thing plugged in so it's generating heat. The goal is to add the smoke flavor, and then after that, complete the drying process. If it gets later in the evening, I will take it and put it in the oven at 185 degrees for a couple of hours, and then just turn it off, and it will dry out overnight. I'm gonna be back in about an hour. For you, that'll be a couple of seconds. So it's been just over an hour, and I got a little distracted, so I went a few minutes longer than I planned, but that's okay. I want to do this really quick because rain is coming down really good. The other day we had a windstorm right before the cheese cube video, and it pretty much destroyed the tarp that I had. You can see here, all these wood chips are well burned up. Like usual, little mountain, touch of a shake. We'll put a little bit more on there. If you're going to put wood chunks in which burn a little bit slower, then what you'll want to do is put a light bed on the bottom of this and then put the wood chips on top. That way it'll burn through well. Go ahead and put that back in. Now after I turn off the camera, I'm going to go ahead and pop a regular camera in there and take a picture, and here's that picture right there, so you'll see what our progress looks like. Now I'm not going to go through this with you every time I reload the pan. You see what the procedure is. That's all you need to know. We're doing it 4 times. When I get done with the 4th complete smoke, that's the next time I'll turn the camera back on, and then we'll talk about analyzing the meat to see if we have the right smoke level. If there's some meat that's done around the edges, I will sample a piece. If not, I don't want to eat raw meat, especially pork. I don't worry so much about beef, but pork I want to be a little more careful with, and chicken, never. We'll be back, and that should be about 3 hours for me and about 3 seconds for you. It's been about 5 hours. I know I said 4, but the last time I checked it, it looked like it was going to need a little bit more time, and then the weather didn't really cooperate. So I went ahead and I grabbed out the bottom tray, the partial one. It's going to be just a little bit more done than the other ones. It probably will have a little bit less smoke flavor. Now I brought out the thermometer, but jerky is particularly difficult to get a temperature reading on. I will try really quick and see if I can get anything. It's about 100, but I don't think that's anywhere near right. I can tell it feels a lot warmer than that. It just, because of how thin it is, it's going to be a challenge. I'm going to bring one of these pieces of the sweet chili up here so you can get a good look at it. Now, this one has a ways to go. It's not completely cooked yet, but it's definitely cooked enough that it's safe to eat. It just doesn't have the jerky consistency, and I'm going to pull on it a little bit, and you can see that it's just a little tougher than what I would like. Let's go ahead and taste it. That is great. Definitely for me, it could use some more spice, and like I was talking about earlier in the video, is that for me, I would add a lot of spice to it. But if I'm going to share it with other people, I want it to be really mild so that way anybody can eat it. That is great. So to have a finished jerky consistency, it's going to need to be a little more well done. This is one of the pieces here of the Thai sweet and hot. So it has a little bit of sugar and a little bit of white pepper to it. Same thing, the consistency is definitely needing a little bit more time. Also tastes great. Mostly this is the pork flavor though. The seasoning is there, but it's so mild. And I can taste the white pepper, but it's not hot at all. So this needs more time to dry out because it's just not shelf stable yet. I'm going to bring this piece up here. And that way you get a good look at it. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep going for about another 3 hours. If it were later in the evening, I would go ahead and transfer it into the house, into the oven. But since it's not, I'm just going to go ahead and keep running it out here for a while. And it'll still pick up a little bit more smoked flavor. It's right on the edge of smokiness. It could use a little bit more, but I don't want to kill it. We'll be back in a couple of seconds. For you, for me, that's going to be 3 more hours. It's starting to get late and it's about time to go ahead and pull the jerky out of the smoker. So if it's done or not, it's coming out. And if it's not ready, it's going in the house. I took the bottom tray and I dried it in the oven a little bit to get an idea of where we were going to end up. And I've got to say that we have some perfect jerky here. And it just comes right apart like it's supposed to, and it tastes great. I kind of put this right in the center here so you can get a good look at it. And I'm going to bring this tray up here of the Thai sweet and spicy. Oh, excuse me. That's the sweet chili. You got some really good looking pieces here. It looks like these pieces in the corners are completely done, and these pieces in the middle could use just a little bit more time. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably peel those ones off of there, and then I'll go ahead and put what's left in the oven. So let's go ahead and grab one of these off the corner here. And yeah, that's exactly what we're going for. Look at that. And I'm just going to break it just like that, and we've got jerky. Let's go ahead and give it a taste. That's great. So the one thing to keep in mind about leaving it in the smoker a little bit longer, even without smoke, it's going to pick up more of that smoker flavor. And that's what we want. Without the smoke, in the smoker, because of how seasoned it is, it'll get more of that smoke flavor, but it won't get any bitterness to it. So now I'll transfer it to the oven and dry it out. We'll go ahead and put some pictures up here of the final product. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to vacuum seal a few bags of this. There's sugar in it, so I'm not going to eat very much in one sitting. And we'll save some for guests and family and friends. Everything here, easy to do. And if you don't like the exact spice profile, feel free to experiment. This is a very lean pork jerky. Pork loin is possibly the leanest of the pork cuts. And it's not oily at all, unlike the pork shoulder, which was very oily, albeit tasty, but very oily. So if you saw anything you like in this video, of course, like always, there's links below. And those are affiliate links. If you use those, I will be compensated and I appreciate it. The article for the pork jerky, I'm writing that right now. And so by the time this video publishes, I'm hoping to have that complete and have that be the first link. And then the second link will be the review for the Big Chief Smoker on my website. Visit that, check it out, and thanks for watching. Have a great day.